Welcome back. I'm Representative Patricia Morgan, and we have with us today Representative Mike Chippendale, and he has an awful lot of history with 38 Studios and just how difficult it was. Mike, you were on 2 oversight committees.
Yes.
And yet you've just talked about this Michael Corso and how integral he was to the whole implosion
Absolutely.
of this deal.
Yes.
Why wasn't he ever subpoenaed?
Well, he was subpoenaed at one point by the Oversight Committee, the second Oversight Committee, but failed to appear and rejected it summarily.
He lives in Massachusetts or somewhere.
He had a Cranston address, but yeah, I think service was made at a Massachusetts address as well as a Cranston address, and they were never able to locate him. Whether or not anybody really knows where he is, I don't know. But
So he slept in his car for a while?
he may have. I don't know. I'm sure he has friends all over the place that he can hang out with. But you know, he was, again, Corso was Fox's right-hand guy. He did a lot of the background stuff, fundraising and generating money for Fox and helping him with these deals. In fact, if you think about this, and it makes perfect sense to me, we know Fox is sitting in jail for certain things right now, one of them being taking a $52,000 bribe
Yeah.
when he was the vice chair of the Licensing Board of Providence. Are we to expect that once he becomes the most powerful politician in the state of Rhode Island, he's not going to bring that sort of lack of ethics with him and only amplify it as his power's amplified?
You know, I keep
I can't
mentioning
prove
that.
but-
We pointed out, the Republicans pointed out, because we took him to the Ethics Commission and he was fined $10,000 for having a special deal with GTEC. We pointed out that he had unethical tendencies and
Yes.
behavior, and they still made him speaker.
Absolutely, and you reap what you sow, and certainly in this case.
Or maybe they like it that way, but
perhaps they
let's
do.
not go down that road.
Perhaps, yeah, no, and so we worked really very hard. I mean, there had to be 15,000 emails,
That you
some
read all of them.
multi-page, yeah, the bond
Took
offerings,
phone calls
absolutely, and you pour so much of yourself over this to create a timeline and to map it all out and try to figure out exactly what went on, only to sort of be stonewalled on the governmental level by the leadership, which was clearly an issue with Fox. Less so with Mattiello, but still we weren't able to get all the things that we needed. It took
So he
a
allowed
while.
you to subpoena, but can't you?
Well, that only
can't
came
you
after
work,
a lot of public outcry.
Yeah, can't you work with the police of another state to have them deliver the subpoena and actually have the person come in, or there's no way to make them?
Once they were issued, yeah, the process servers did that. They would interact with the local municipal police departments or whoever was the jurisdictional head of that area and try to serve process on the individuals that we did subpoena. Only Stephen Costantino came down to do so.
Sure.
And, other than that, everyone else just
Blew you off.
rejected it completely. Yeah. And
So we waited until, not you, because I know you and Representative Macbeth were working really hard at this, but we kind of waited until Michael Corso no longer lived in Rhode Island to get the subpoena to him.
It certainly fell together that way. Absolutely. Yeah, we tried everything we could as standalone representatives and chairs and co-chairs of the committee to do as much as we possibly could. But as you pointed out, it's everything has to go through the leadership. They have to approve the agenda. They have to approve everything. And while I was never in any agenda discussions with this particular committee, I do know directly from Rep. Macbeth that she had a tremendous time. I mean, she would spend, to her words, an hour just trying to get 2 words changed in the agenda. So it was very challenging for her. So naturally, as all things tend to take the path of least resistance, an opportunity with the SEC came.
Yes, and I think that was really clever of you.
Yeah, well, it was Rep. Macbeth, to be honest.
You know, you keep hitting blockades where you just keep moving on until you
Exactly.
find a place where you can
Exactly.
make a difference. And you went to the Securities and Exchange Commission.
We did. Well, it started with conversations with a gentleman named Edward Seidel, who is financially someone who's very well regarded. He's
I've seen
always
his writings.
at odds with the rating agencies and stuff. But he's in Forbes magazine, his Money magazine
Well,
all
a
the
lot
time.
of people had problems
Absolutely.
with the rating agencies.
A lot of states are still
Standard
suing them.
That's right, they are being sued. Moody's, the Standard & Poor's,
Yep.
because they gave rosy
Projections.
ratings
Yeah, absolutely.
to bonds
that just
Which
shouldn't.
probably didn't
Absolutely.
deserve to get those ratings, and then we had the 2008 implosion,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Where they were giving AAAs to subprime
Absolutely.
mortgages.
Absolutely. And so through this person, there was a contact made at the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, who reached out and spoke with Rep. Macbeth. Everything we had as far as information was handed over to them.
Okay.
It was public information. There was nothing inappropriate about that. And then that was it. That was all that happened. And probably 4 months later, I think it was probably 4 months later, maybe 6 months later, the SEC announced that they were filing charges against parties involved in the 38 Studios transaction because of inappropriate activity and
Sure.
behavior.
They found culpability.
They did. They found it rather quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we have an attorney general who for 4 long and exhaustive years finds nothing
Yeah.
that anybody did that was wrong or that even the public should know about.
Right.
Right? It's not that bad. Don't worry about it. Trust us. And yet the SEC, after 4 to 6 months, they
Had
found
enough to file
people.
a suit. Absolutely.
They did. They
Yeah.
went after some folks. 2 of them got fines.
Yep.
Those were employees of the EDC.
Absolutely.
So Keith Stokes, who
And
was
Mike-
the
He
director.
was the director, and Michael Saul, the executive deputy director.
So
and
he
then
was the one who actually
was-
was moving the process through for 38 Studios? or-
Yeah, mostly it was Saul, and Stokes, as the director, was less involved, but he was always in the loop as
Sure.
far as emails went. But Michael Saul was really the lead contact over at EDC as far as the high-up stuff goes.
And so both of them paid fines to the
They
SEC?
did, yeah. Both of them are also named in the Rhode Island civil lawsuit against the EDC. So, obviously, they played a hand in it.
And now there's still ongoing activities from the Securities
Yes,
and
there
Exchange
is.
Commission against the underwriter and the
Bond counsel, there
Is it
there were
bond
other, yeah, there
counsel?
were other, there were rating agencies, Moody's, Barclays, they were all involved with, in
Because-
the suit.
In this case, they misled bondholders. That's
Yes.
all the SEC can do. They can't say, well, what you did to the taxpayers was wrong, but they can say what you did to bondholders.
Right.
How you presented this deal to people who bought your bonds.
Right. And I can.
Was fraudulent.
Yes, I can roughly quote a snippet from an email from a young employee at EDC whose name was Sean Eston. He was a policy analyst, and he was assigned to this. Sean said in one email that, and speaking from his perspective, I have had more information on a 10K microloan than I have on a $75 million bond-backed loan to a company that is pre-revenue. So
So
this
this
young
was-
man was
yeah.
calling out from the beginning, this goes back to the very beginning, that the stuff's not adding up. Rosemary Booth-Galogli, very well reputed as far as finances go in the state of Rhode Island, said the same thing. I don't have enough information to even say whether this is good. Governor
So clearly,
Raimondo
this was just pushed through.
pushed through.
Push it through. We don't
Absolutely.
care about the details. Don't worry. Don't
Right.
worry. We don't care whether this cow has food to eat.
Absolutely, and there was an email also in one of the emails from one of the agencies that was rating this offering, that said, we didn't put any time into downside projections. We only have upside projections. So in response to someone asking, where are the downside projections, so we can compare what the net value is
Yeah.
based on that. They never did downside projections. And as I referred earlier, the upside projections were so wildly off the mark that there's no way they could have hit it.
Yeah, because the idea was, don't worry, the state of Rhode Island is going to take care of you, no
Yes.
matter what.
Yes, it was.
Okay, and that means you. We'll be right back.